Beautiful brothers and sisters, this is Mary Hernandez with Genesis Kingdom Part 1. God in Government and Education. A. And the book was written by Gary DeMar. It has some beautiful Bible verses as well as the message that I'm about to deliver. And it is actually a quote from Martin Luther King's. It says, if I profess with the loudest voice and the clearest exposition every portion of the truth of God, except priestly, that a little point which the world and the devil, that they are one moment attacking, that I'm not confessing Christ, however boldly, that I may be professing Christ. And that was actually written by Martin Luther King. And then it talks about the morals, the principles, the precepts contained in the scriptures. It says they ought to form a bias of all our civil constitution and laws and all the miseries of evil which men suffer from: vice, crime, ambition, injustice, oppression, slavery, war proceeding from them, and their depressing or neglecting the precepts contained into the Bible. And then it brings me to Matthew 20:26. Just be a little patient with me as I bring up this Bible verses. It actually brings me to, I'm going to read Ecclesiastes 9:3. It says, this is an evil among all things that are done under the sun, that there's not one event unto all, but also in the heart of Son of Man. It is full of evil madness in their heart, while they live after they go to the dead. It says, for to him that is joined to all the living there is hope, but the living dog is better than a dead lion. And then it brings me to Matthew, my beautiful brothers and sisters. And what does that mean? I'll explain. 20:26. Matthew 20:26. But it shall be also among you, whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. Now, every one of you by now know that when you're an elect in your nation, in your country, in your state, right? You're the elect of God. That's how you get the kings and the queens. And you see that from Chronicles 1, Chronicles 2, King 1, and Kings 2, as they get on there. And the ones that get up there, some end up doing evil. I think it was rare that when I read them, I think it was maybe 3 kings that end up doing right in the eye of God. And a lot of them ended up mixing it with the pagan world. And then you get a queen that's serving, pagan, or a man that's serving pagan, or both. They ended up bringing this massive destruction into the world. And they made themselves God and forgot who it was that was serving. That we serve for the people. We're for the people. Your constitutional rights, right? Well, they forget that. They forget that. They make themselves God. And then all of a sudden you get an element in the world. You get an evil dictator that pretty much has a say-so over the government and over education. And not over God. But what do? They pushed out the creator. They pushed out the creator from schools. They pushed out the creators from the government. You can't do that. Then that's how you get destructions. That's when you get vice, you get crime, ambition, injustice, oppression, slaveries, war proceeding. They neglect. They neglect what it is that they got served to do, that we chosen to serve. So then it brings me to Mark 7. Mark 7, 22 and 23. When we get dictators, brothers and sisters, that get on there, and these are the kings and queens that get chosen by God. These are who the men choose or the women choose, vice versa. Those are the ones that become the high priest in that nation, the seers over the nation. These are God's people. These are the men that in their end up choosing somebody from a pagan world, which he tells you not to do, or you end up doing a covenant with God. Does that mean we're going to be perfect? No. Does that mean that we're going to make decisions that you're not going to agree with? Of course. But at the end of the day, when we have God in this, that's all we need. And then that's the change in this world. That's the whole change. It's not going to have an evil dictator that's allowing Satan to be the puppet master in this world, because that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. So then it brings me to Mark 7:22-23. And it says, when you get the dictators, when you get the people that get up there, men that make themselves God and push God out of the whole equation, and then you just got government and education. And what do we get? Mark 7:22-24 says, we get thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lavishness, an evil eye, a blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come within a defiled man. A defiled that decided to put the Creator out and decided to think that he could do all things without God. No. To deny the validity of many governments and responsibilities. It says that each has under God. And they pushed him out. And then that's when you get, it's almost like a lethal weapon. That is to unleash a beast in this world. Because you allowed that. Because you decided to become God. And playing God with my life. Playing God with your life. And it's like we don't have our say so. But who pays our wages? Who pays the wages of the people? Your tax dollars. Your tax dollars does it. So we serve. We're for the people. That's who pays us. That's who pays us. But they forget that. Rather, it's somebody that is a janitor, or you get somebody that owes billion-dollar companies. You still pay taxes. So is their voice just as important as somebody that's working flipping burgers or a janitor? Yes, it is. A person that's still flipping burgers is still paying taxes. Their word doesn't mean any less. For a rich person that owns anything, does that mean we get to overlook the things that they do? No, it's being fair to all, serving the people, for the people, because we are for the people. That's where you get that saying. And I never really got it until I studied this, and it's actually a very beautiful book. Now it brings me to Proverbs. Sorry. Bring me to Proverbs 1:7. What does that say? The world is not afraid of God anymore. The world got ballsy and is doing things and don't care. Don't care. And it tells you that Proverbs 1:7 says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fools despise wisdom and instructions. My son, hear the instructions of thy father. Forsake not the law of thy mother. They forgot that. Nobody fear God anymore. So what do you think she's doing right now? Her wrath when she sends the horsemen, that she's asking people, that she's having her grace and mercy is coming to meet you. And she sends her daughter in, or her son in there, and says, hey, I got this 10 commandments that she's asking. That's all she asks. A water covenant, not a blood covenant with Satan. Because the minute you hear, this is my blood, which is given up for you, this is my wine, she's not that. She's a water covenant. It's a water baptismal. There is no other God but the Creator. That is our mother. And yes, we have a Father. But the thing is, the men make themselves God, Father and Son. Man's elements in this world. That's what it means. And there's more to it. So she's sending out a message when you denied her 10 commandments. She's sending a message. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? She's letting you know that she's in control of all this world. It's not those dictators. It's not the man. And it sure is not the woman if we're not following her ways. You know, she's being the judge right now, not only of her children. Do I vent to her? Of course I do. Of course I do. I don't sit here. I don't lie to her. You know, at the end of the day, I don't quit. But it's my lamentation to my mother too. Like, really? You know? Do you hear us? Do you hear her? Do you see what's going on in the world? She's answering by saying, here, all I ask is the 10 commandments. I'm a water covet. This is it. And you're rejecting her mercy and his grace that she's having on you. So when you reject her, she opens the sea, is bringing her children home. And the sea closes and then destruction comes. That is her wrath. That she's letting you know, I'm God. Those men, those dictators, the elements in the world, forgot that. She said, I'm here to send a message out. Do you get the message? She's letting you know she's that powerful. And do you think she spared her children? Do you think she spared me as a daughter of the Most High God? No, she didn't. And I said this early out there at the Holy Mountain. I said, she's in front of me. She said, guilty for your sin, daughters. I take that. I take that. You know, I had to walk through the valley of shadow of death, but I fear no evil because she's with me. And I knew that. So what does she do? She gets off as a judge. And in this wrath that all hell coming against me, she's on the side of me also. And it's helping me. That's what she's doing to this world. That's what she's doing to this world. She's sending out a message to you loud and clear. Fear me. Fear me that I could kill the soul and the flesh in hell. She said, don't fear him that could just kill the flesh. Because I could kill you. I could kill that flesh in hell. I could do that. That's who you should fear. And she also came and she put me through that. But I didn't take my eyes off of her. Once she gave me that chance, I never turned back. And I will never turn back. I will never let her down like that again. But she also took her robe off and came on the side of me and said, I'm with you. I'm with you. You know, she's with us. She's just sending a powerful message saying that without God in this government, in this world, there is no world. The enemy wants you to think that they're more powerful because you see them in the flesh, because you don't see her. You think that she's not to be afraid of, that you're not supposed to fear her. She's sending her message. Do you hear her? I sure do. I sure do. Now it also brings me to Proverbs 4:23. She says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. You know, as she trusts her sons and daughters to become kings and queens in this world, you know, they forget that. And from what I see, I could say that because I've seen that. They get lost in that power. You get handed. You read Kings 1 and 2, Chronicles 1 and 2. She hands you the world. She said, take care of it. I trust you with it. That's all she ever wanted. From Abraham, you read Isaac, you read David, you read kings after kings after kings, that she gave them that. She gave them that authority over this world, and they failed her miserably. They failed her, number one, miserably, because they pushed her out. They pushed her out. And then not only that, attacked the daughters and pushed them out as if they didn't exist. You know, they took our voice as if we don't matter in this Bible, that we don't have a story, a part in this world, and we do, you know. And then they failed the people. They let Satan have dominion over it. That's it. They let witches and warlocks have dominion over this world. And you read it. You read king after king, kings after kings, kings after queens. I think I only read like 3 or 4 kings that did the right thing. And then I think 2 got smite right away. They got killed. And one of them had his grandma dethrone the grandma. Dethrone the grandma queen because she was doing evil. I think he was only like 23, 20 if I'm exact. Because there was only like 3 or 4 that did good. But dethroned her and said, no, we're not going to have evil in this world. Only. And then everybody else took God out. We don't need her. That's exactly what they said. We don't need the daughters. We don't need to go in a covenant with them. We don't need to follow the 10 commandments. They rejected the mercy of her. Everybody did. We felt her miserable. Then it brings me to Ephesians 6:7. Ephesians 6:7. She said Ephesians 6:7. With good will doing service as to the Lord. With good will doing service as to the Lord and not to men. Because when we get on the throne out there as world leaders, world changers, when we're serving you as we're serving the Lord. And they forgot that. Go read Kings 1, Kings 2. Those are the high priests that were chosen as head seers of this world leaders in this world. And they pushed the maker out. So she said, when you serve my people, because you're her people, our maker, is why she's coming in to stop the work of the devil and replacing it with her children. But she needed to heal her children because we were in the world, acting like the world. And she said, you're going to be in the world, but not acting as if in the world. You're world leaders, world changers, empire builders, restoring, healing. You can't act like that. We already have that out there. She said, I don't want that. And that's why Satan is getting thrown out of the heavens, because he was up here with witches and warlocks, with the sons that also had sinned and with daughters that had also sinned. So they're getting dethroned. Satan is going to lose dominion because he's losing people, because people are starting to wake up and seeing that, hey, there is a creator. But that's why they came up with the story about Jesus. And I know by now I've shared with that, has showed you that Jesus is from the dead. Jesus is not the God of the living. We're on our way to the promised land for the God of the living, not the God of the dead. It tells you in Revelation 1:5, Jesus is the first of the dead, the king, the prince of the earth. Who's the king and the prince of the earth? Who has dominion? Who had dominion? Because I say he's already dethroned and prophesied. Who? Right? So that's Ephesians 6:7. Okay. Sorry about that. Doing notes as I'm going. So then it says the board, the title, the board, the title of the government, implying that many governments are absorbed into all encompassing government before the World War I. Textbooks dealing with national government were qualified with the title civil. An example, this could be seen in the textbook used in 1903, The Elements of Civil Government. According to the author, the family and the form of government established for the good of the children and themselves. Sorry. And then it brings me to Ecclesiastes 12:13. Sorry if I'm saying that right. Page 2. 12:13. Yep. And it says, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of men. It says, for God shall bring everything work into judgment, and every secret thing that is to be good, rather than for it to be evil. Because that's exactly what is going on in this world. And then it brings me to Jeremiah. Jeremiah 17:9. It says, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Who can know it? If we're functioning, making ourselves gods to this world, and we took the Creator out of it, what are we going to get in this world? What are we going to get? Nothing but death, destructions, war, slavery. For what? Because we decided to play God and decide to make decisions without the Creator, the one who put us on the throne, the ones that given the daughter that's next in lineage or the son next in lineage to be on the throne. Then it says 5 areas of the government. And tell me if this is not true, brothers and sisters. The 5 areas in the government: the township or civil, district, a village or city, the country, the state, or United States. And then it brings me to Jeremiah 1:7. So Jeremiah 1:7. But the Lord said unto me, am I a child that thou shalt go to all that I shall send thee? And whosoever I command thee, thou shalt speak. You know, I choose you. You're my elect. You're going to serve me. I trusted you with this world. I trusted you with it. I put you on that throne. And yet, you're not going to do as I say. I'm telling you as a child of the Most High God that you're going to do and say as I speak. You're going to serve. We were called to serve the people for the people. We are the people. And that got pushed out. These are God's children. The high priest that get chosen were the ones that were chosen to serve. And this is what they did. They pushed the maker out and made themselves elements, kings. It's in the Bible. I'm not making anything up. And then it says that he that defies family government as the exercise of authority by the parent or household, children are often ruined by the neglect of the government. In parents, according to the Bible, it is the duty of the parents to govern at home. The fathers do not provoke your children to anger, right? And then it brings me to Ecclesiastes 3:23. That was Ephesians 6:4. Because at the end of the day, who's the government of your home? Who's the government of your children? Let's say it right. Who's the parents? Who controls your kids? Who makes those decisions at home for you? The children? The government? When you lose that control, brothers and sisters, you're handing that control over. When we stop listening and start being more, we need to start being more parents than friends. We need to know what it is that they are doing. What is it that they're getting on social media? What is it that they're studying at school that's preparing them for their future? What is it that they're learning at school? And then Ephesians 6:4, it says, and ye are fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nature of admonition of the Lord. Teach him God. Teach him God's way. She was forgotten. Our maker, our father, and our mother, they were pushed out of the whole world, and it's like they didn't exist. They robbed us from our history. They robbed us when they pushed the daughters out and the men came up here and played God. And they weren't anointed. And it tells you that they weren't. They weren't anointed. It was always the daughters that she calls her precious jewels. And then it brings me to Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 3:23. And whatsoever you do, it says, whatsoever you do, do it heartily as the Lord and not unto men. And you know how I read that one to you. Because when you start serving as a man, as a dictator, and not as the servant of God that we were called to serve. If we don't serve as we're serving God to you, then you're going to get a dictator. We already have that in the world. She said, I don't want that for the world anymore. That's why she's here, to stop the work of the devil, to stop the work of what they had planning on doing in this world. However, parents neglect their God-given away duty to raise their children, and in the nature of admonition of the Lord, right? When this happens, we expect the state to take an increasingly dominant role in our family affairs. But who is the government of your family? Right? We want the government to step in. We want them to do it. But what is it that they're doing? Who's the government of your family? Who's the head and not the tail in your family? What did we do as parents? We weren't teaching them God. What did the world do as they pushed the God out of the equation, period. They did. And then the men became dictators and evildoers in this world. And it tells you that. The government did. They took them out in the money, in the White House, at schools, in our home. But we did that. I have to do part 2 video. Hopefully it's able to help you out some. And God and government, I have the rest of the book to still do. I'm going to do one more. I have one more page and then I'll close it up. Hopefully that's able to help you. Have an amazing night. Shalom, shalom.